Okay, we should be live now. Hello, everyone. I'm actually so excited that there's people in the comments because I was really nervous that no one would watch. So thank you all for being here. Cassidy. Hi, Cassidy. And hi,
Beth. I can share this online.
Got Hans. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, Rachel. Yolene. Tell us what you're reading, and Taylor and Kristen also tell us what you're reading. So Kristen has a channel. I don't know if you all probably know her because we are in a lot of read-alongs and buddy reads and also have the same bookish opinions on everything. So Kristen is mentioned a lot in my videos, but Kristen, if you want to kind of briefly introduce yourself and say what you're reading today.
Sure. So I'm Kristen. My channel is Kristen is Fully Booked. I'm sorry if it's echoey. I just moved and I'm in my room that's basically empty. So I don't know. I just finished The Queen of Atolia today. Really randomly picked that up and read that, which is the second The Queen's Safe book.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read that?
Oh my God, I've read the whole series and it's.
Oh, okay. Well, we have to talk about that at some point. But I don't know where to go next. I've been reading the first binding and it's
not good. Oh no.
It's really tough to get into.
That I've been excited for that release, so that's a shame.
Yeah, and it's the writing is just very dramatic and very overwrought, and each sentence feels sickly sweet in your mouth. I don't know, it's just a lot. I'm having trouble getting into it. So I just took out from the library High Key, which I'm hearing good things.
Which book? Oh, I know which one. I don't know how to pronounce. Yeah.
And then some random fantasy romance called A Touch of Stone and Snow.
I haven't heard of that one.
Somebody that I follow on Instagram loves it, but it's technically the second book in a series. But the premise for the first one doesn't.
But with romance, you can kind
of. So yeah. And then I also have, I don't know, I've got some physical about the Lives of La Gomorrah and Vita Nostra. And also The Priory of the Orange Tree. And I don't know what to read. I'm in a very weird reading mood, and I have no idea what to read.
Well, we can have people in the comments vote. So
yes, feel free. My mood is nothing's working for me right now.
You need a good solid read. And then Taylor, I know through Kristen, who's she's been on her channel. You've done some ACOTAR related stuff and some really great reading sprint chants, and apparently might be starting a podcast with Kristen, which I'm so excited about. So tell us what you're reading, Taylor. Are you a little bit more decisive or also all over the place?
Well, I think I know what I'm going to read. So I am not going to be reading what I should be reading, which is a reread of Mistborn for my book club. But I read that a few years ago, and I just I didn't love it. And I have been putting off picking it up again, even though I know I ought to, because we don't have a firm date for the book club set yet. So I've been delaying, so that's on me. But what I think I'm going to read, or what I know I'm going to read instead, is The Queens of Innis Lear by Tessa Gratton. And I started it, I think it was either last year or the year before, and I started it on audiobook. I was really, really enjoying it, but the writing was so lush and beautiful that I was you know what, this actually isn't working for me on audio, because I experience it differently when I read, and if I'm into the prose, then I really want to read the prose. So I've switched to the ebook, and now I'm actually finally getting back to it. So I'm sort of skimming the parts that I read before. I think I was maybe a third of the way through even. But it's really good. So I'm happy to get back to it.
When you're starting a book that you read a portion of, but it's been enough time. I have a few of them.
Yeah.
I want to reread the 200 pages that I did, but it's been long enough that I should. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can. It's good for a refresher to remember what the characters are and what they want and things like that. And it's also fun, seeing it written down as opposed to hearing it. But
That one's an interesting one because I think it's a one book, right? It's like a pretty big, thick
I
book.
think so. Yeah, and it's like it's a retelling of King Lear, Shakespeare's King Lear, which is not one of the Shakespeare plays I'm super familiar with. Like I remember the basics, so I can sort of see the setup, and I can sort of see some of the similarities, but that's about as far as it goes. So like, I'm assuming it will be tragic, but we'll see.
Or comedy.
Have you read it?
I haven't, but it's one where I'm like, I don't know if I'll like it, so I need someone to read it and tell me if I will like it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I think when I finish it.
Please do.
I've had my eye on that one for a while too. I feel like it's just gonna be like vibes, and I loved King Lear in high school.
Is it a tragedy? Do you know then?
It's definitely a tragedy. Yeah, I know that much.
But like, so I haven't read it, but Leanna's Library talked about it recently, and she said that like it's not like the truest to the play that like some retellings can get, but that she liked that it gave like the motivations behind characters in the play, or like why on earth they do that. So she like kind of gives like the backstory and like explains why the various sisters make what they do. So.
Yeah, the two like evil sisters are much more interesting in this one.
Almost like a fairy tale retelling in that way too. If you've got evil sisters.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does really have a fairy tale vibe as well.
With the lyrical.
Yeah, exactly. So
cool.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, Julene's just saying that it's like slow, all capitals, which I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Which like I love too.
I can like slow.
Yeah.
Jolene really likes fairy tale or like retellings in general, so I think it's one that I can definitely see working with her. And if you like that, I think it would work too. I'm going back up a little bit. We've got Cassidy, who is, there we go, reading Bone Shard. What? I lost my way. There we go. Bone Shard Emperor, maybe, for Cassidy starting, which I DNF'd, so I'm curious to see. I think Cassidy won't have the same problems I did with it, but I did DNF that one. Also, hi, Chadia. Thank you for joining. Yolene just finished Bone Shard Daughter. Again, I think that this is a plot-driven series, so I can see that it worked I think it'll work for Cassidy. I think Yolene, I can totally see. I think you'll love the second book too. Character-wise, that's where I didn't love.
All of the characters in Bone Shard Emperor frustrated. Like they never did the thing that I was expecting. Like but not in a good way. Like in the times when I thought they should be getting upset about things, they were like, well, that's fine. I can get over that. Or in the things that were like so small that I feel like they should have gotten over, they were like, what? How could you? I was like, this is.
And in the first book, they were kind of like unique enough characters that I was excited just for the uniqueness of them. And then I needed more of that, to be developed. Well, good. I usually work Mondays, so.
Ooh, somebody hated the main character. Oh, it's frozen. Are you guys frozen?
I'm not frozen. Is it just Maria who is?
I think Maria is frozen.
Oh no.
Okay, Jolene is going to read Kushal's Chosen. Or Yolene.
Is that the second one of the Kushiel? Or third?
Yeah.
Okay, second. Okay.
Yolene and I actually have a lot of similar books. She talks about the Juliette Merlier books on her series a lot too. I'm so excited that you're reading the Kushal's series, Yolene. It's one of my favorite series of all time. Absolutely love it. I think the first three are my favorite, where Phaedra is the main character, but then I do like Amariel's as well.
I started reading that one, and it didn't grab me like the main trilogy did.
it's a very different story. Like Phaedra and Imriel are very different people, and like the journeys that they go on are very different. Like Phaedra is always like your unlikely hero, and Imriel is more like tragic upbringing, dealing with his problems and his emotions and whatnot, and like the whole issue of like who he is, like who his parents were, and proving himself. Yeah, very different stories. I don't think I actually have control of like thoughts
Oh
in the way
no.
that.
Oh, I think it's just me now. Anyway, Jillian, you said that you weren't expecting to like Crucial Start. I felt the same. Like the premise is a little more risque than I normally go for. Sorry, just trying to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. Okay, you're back now.
That's okay.
You're back? You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. We're just trying to get Maria back.
Okay, well, I can look at. Okay, so Maria says that her Wi-Fi is failing her, but she'll try to get back.
Okay.
And then I pressed the wrong button. Yeah.
Secretly taking over everything. Well, not so secretly. Covertly.
Okay, let's see. Okay, Sarah from Brighton Bookish says that she just watched my Juliet Merlier video and now wants to start with the pick one. I knew, Sarah, that would be the one that you would like the most, but I knew that one was going to be the one that you vibe with. And I also think that I know which one Maria will vibe with. Taylor still hasn't read any.
I started the first, The Daughter of the Forest, when last time I was in a Danish summer house. And it just wasn't the right fit for me at the time. I don't remember what I ended up reading then, but it just like it was a little too fairy tale, and that wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah,
That's
I
not
feel
a
like you
bad
should be
thing.
in the right.
Just
No, you should be in the right mood for it. I think you will like it in the way that you like A Song for Our Bond.
Okay, that's good to know. Have you decided, or have you thought more about what you're going to read yet? Because my vote is for Priory of the Orange Tree, but that's because I gave you that one.
You also gave me the.
Oh yeah, I also gave you La Clamora. Yeah.
I will probably pick up one of the. Maybe I'll read like the first chapter in each of them and see.
Okay.
How it goes.
Maria has suggested, have you seen this, that Maria suggests that we sprint while she tries to figure it out?
Sure, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Let's say
How long do you know?
30 minutes. So at at the 45 mark, whatever time zone you're in, the 45 mark, 30 minutes now. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Hello.
You got back in okay?
Did. Thank you for taking over, both of you, especially Taylor at one point.
It's fine. It happens. It's one of those things, you can't predict it. You can't, yeah.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for being so nice. My Wi-Fi failed me, but hopefully it will stay strong for the rest of it. So how did everyone do reading-wise? I think I absorbed, well, I read 5 pages, but I absorbed like 2 sentences because I kept feeling like I had to check that I hadn't frozen again. So I'm reading, I don't think I mentioned though, I'm reading Stardust Thief, which I just started. And
Reading what, sorry?
The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah.
Oh, nice.
So new release, very excited. It's not my most anticipated of the year as far as like books, continuations of series I love, but most anticipated books, series I've never tried. It's a desert fantasy. I'm buddy reading it with Mary Beth, so she probably read, oh, she read 9 pages. Okay, good. We're not too far off then. Let's see. What else? King and Thick of Thieves are best for me. So this is in reference to the Attolia or Queen's Thief series. So I think most people agree that the 3rd one is the best, Kristen. So I think you have a lot of good stuff ahead of you.
Interesting. I kind of feel cheated by the romance, but it's obviously spoilers. So
it makes sense. I felt like I wasn't sure how I would feel about it at the end of book 2, and then I thought that if it was handled well, I could get on board, and I thought it was. That's going into 3. That's how I felt.
Twitter. I don't know if it was handled well. I don't know if that's how I feel about it.
That may not go well for you then. Ooh.
I wanted more. I wanted more from how it rolled out.
I think it's done as like a plot twist. So I think that's why.
Yeah, I can see that it was like.
And then I think you get the development later. Yeah, but it's controversial. I think that's the one part of the series. This is a very kind of underrated series, but I think that part of it is where you lose people. Hans Painted.
It's been on my radar for a while, but I haven't picked it up yet.
Well, you should.
It's all on Scribd.
What'd you say, Krista?
Oh, it's all on Scribd?
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yolene's going to be picking up Stardust Thief. That's exciting.
I just put that on hold at the library, and I think it was like 11 weeks.
Wow. I guess it's really hyped. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's great that it's, like, doing well. It's usually a good sign that they've, like, done a good job of amping it up. I think there were a decent amount of copies, too. Like, it wasn't just, like, one copy. Like, I think there was a solid amount.
I know it was in one of the book subscription boxes, so I wonder if that was part of the hype. But then it's one of those that's like, I thought it was adult fantasy, but now I'm hearing it was in a YA subscription box, and I'm hearing it's kind of a crossover. So I think maybe also that's where like you're kind of bringing in both groups.
Yeah, like double appeal.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how it will feel. I know even Sarah from Brighton Bookish was saying, I think that like it feels kind of like both, like a crossover. Tasha joined. Hi, Tasha. 3 pages of Girls of Paper and Fire. That one, I've heard controversial mixed opinions on, but I'm kind of leaning now that I've like gotten past hearing both of those. I kind of want to try it out because it sounds very unique. That's the one where I think they can turn into animals, I want to say. It's a YA series. Someone will have to correct me if that's wrong.
I think it's YA. Yeah, I think it's YA.
I'm really hopeful this will be one of those good releases because we've been seeing some less good release patterns.
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm kind of feeling like a little bit slumpy because I just like have been reading a lot of new releases recently and they are not working for me. Like the ones that I've finished are kind of like, and then I've like DNF'd a couple and I'm like stuck on the first binding. Like, I don't know.
This is the first year that I've wanted to buy a lot of new releases. I usually don't care that much. And this is the first year I'm like really excited about a bunch of them. I've only read one so far, which was Justice of Kings, and I didn't love it. So I'm kind of worried that maybe I'll end up having the same like trend that you're seeing where they're just really exciting and then disappoint me.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I'm generally a series binge reader, so I wait until multiple books are out. So I usually just don't even monitor new releases. And then maybe because I'm kind of getting into adult fantasy and now there's new things coming out, I feel like it's seeming really exciting. Yeah. Do you read a lot of new releases, Taylor, or is that kind of a booktube hype thing that happens when you join?
I don't think I read too many new releases. I'm the sort of person that like I follow a lot of authors on Twitter. I'm more of a Twitter than a booktube or Instagram person. So I follow a lot of authors on Twitter, and I sort of like tend to see certain books getting talked about, and sometimes that will interest me, and sometimes like the premise will interest me. And because I generally follow authors that I like or find interesting, then like I tend to find similar books that way. But I'm not so much into like if it's a new release, I'll have it on my radar, but I'm not like usually chomping at the bit to read them. I think the last like new release I read was Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. That was
Oh,
last autumn, I think, and I downloaded like the sample and read it. I think I was meeting Kristen actually, and I like read it while I was waiting for her and bought it as soon as I finished the sample because like I loved it so
oh.
much. And that was great. That was the any hype that I'd seen for that one totally lived up to it. But in general, I just sort of like pick around, see what's on Scribd, see what's in my Kindle library. But I recently picked up Jade City, which has gotten a lot of hype because the third one came out recently. And I loved the first one. It was the most stressful reading experience I've had in ages. But and I immediately ordered. I had it in hard copy, which is unusual for me, but I wanted the next two in hard copy. And the third one came first, and when the second one came, it was the wrong size. So I'm sending it back because I'm not going to have one that's a different size than the others. So
I
I'm like
didn't.
dying to read the second one, but
I'm trying to like. Are
You
they
sent me
different?
a screenshot, be like, no, and it was like the one was supposed to be delivered after the second one.
yeah,
I didn't know they came in
yeah.
different sizes. That surprises me.
Yeah, I know it was really weird. I'm not quite sure why because so it must be something to do with like the Danish bookstore here. And usually I buy from Book Depository, but that was really that took ages. So I bought it from like the Danish one, and for some reason the only copy that they were able to get a hold of the second one was I think the US version instead of the
Hmm.
UK. So
You think they
it
make
was a
them
pity.
height-wise at least the same, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No.
That one, I didn't love the first book. I was like mediocre 3 stars and almost didn't continue. And then I loved
Okay.
the second and third. But they're stressful experiences. And I almost feel like I didn't explain how much they were, how stressful they were.
Yeah. I mean, it was things like I knew that bad things were going to happen, and it almost made me relieved when they did happen because then like I wasn't like, oh no, it's gonna happen now, it's gonna happen now. So yeah.
Kristen put off reading the last like 30 pages of that book for
No,
no
but that was with Jade War. I was listening to the
reason.
audiobook while biking to a yoga class, and like something really dramatic happened, like right before I stepped into the yoga class. So I literally, I think she even did like a like let's sit here and meditate for the first 10 minutes, and it was just like a silent scream in my head of being like, oh my god, and I like couldn't pick it up. Like I think I waited like over a week because it was just like I know what's gonna happen. Like it was I didn't see like the fallout, but like the event, and it was kind of left like a little bit vague what exactly had happened. I was just like I so didn't want to pick it up and have that be real. So I think I didn't even finish it for like another couple weeks. Like I just kept putting off, and then it was like I had like 30 minutes left. Like I was basically done the book, and I put it off for so long, so I like didn't want to. things to be real.
So prepare for more stress.
Now I'm going to be stressed reading the whole of the second one.
They're all stressful. I think maybe the third
you're
one
all
was stressful. So.
But that's like when the third one came out, everyone was like, I've never cried so hard in my life. Like the response to the third book is emotional, apparently. So I know.
See, that was one of the good things about Masks is that I could read on my way to work, and like if I was crying, it would be like hidden by my glasses and the mask, and just the tears would like just slowly drip down. I'm a crier.
Reader problems. I try to finish like finales or big books in bed because I know I'm like, this is a dangerous thing to be out in public with.
Yeah. Yep. There have been times when I've been on holidays with friends and I say to them, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be rude and I'm just going to go in this other room so I can fully enjoy the end of this book because otherwise I'll be worried about being crying or being distracted or something.
Well, that's actually like really great boundaries that you like would just say that, like, and that you're okay with saying that. Be like, you know what, actually, guys, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to go finish my book.
Well, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to enjoy it, you know? Like part of the enjoyment is like the being so emotionally into it that it makes me cry. And I can't get emotionally into it if I'm worried about what other people are thinking.
It almost it's
sitting there
when you're watching with someone. I don't cry when I'm watching with someone, but I'll cry on my own. Yeah, you have to like be in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Yolene. I also never know how many pages for an ebook, and it drives me mad because I don't buy every book that I read. And Goodreads and Amazon usually have different types of pages, and I also don't know, does that include like the appendix, which I don't think counts. But I keep track of pages that I've read, so I want to know the exact true amount. So I almost want to like go get the physical book in a store just to check what amount I'm putting down in stats. It's like a weird, but yeah, ebooks, that makes it really hard. And I hate that ebooks do that minute thing. I don't know if you both read ebooks, but the way they go like 4 minutes left in the chapter.
I actually find it really confusing when they have the percentage because, and then it has like an excerpt for like 3 other books at the end. You're like, wait, it's done now? Like I thought I was at like 3/4 mark. Or I have no sense. I have no sense of how big books are because I read them so like some books I'll read really slowly and other books I read all the way through. And then when I see them in real life, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the big that book is. Like I don't have any sense.
I've started to like underestimate. I'll look at a book and I'll be like, it's 400 pages. It'll take me a day or 2. And then it's a week. And I'm like, that actually makes sense reading time-wise of how much I allot. But it seems like less when you're reading 800-page books too.
That was like when I read.
I like the percentages. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, that was like, I read Book of Night. It like dragged on forever. And then I saw it in person. It was so small. I was like, oh my God.
Really feels that way.
I actually like the percentages because I know that like exciting things are going to happen at like 25% and 50% and whatever. So if I'm like, say 45% through and I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting really into this, then I'll be like, okay, I'll read until like the big midpoint. And usually that hooks me back in.
I know
so I kind of like that.
Like I know I really hated a book when I look at my DNF like tally and it says like DNF at page 128. And I'm like, I didn't even make it to the 130 mark. Like I couldn't handle those 2 pages. We got a few people who worked today. Yeah, I didn't know if Memorial Day was celebrated anywhere. Like do you celebrate it in Europe or in Denmark?
I was at work today.
Makes sense. Bone Shard, how are you liking it, Chadia? Is that the first or the second? Which one are you reading? Yeah, library holds are crazy. Book of the month should come to Europe. Yes. Broken Binding should. Well, I know they're doing for US, but not everything's available. So I want everything available everywhere, which is maybe a lot to ask. Another person working. Book boxes. I think this is in regards to
the Girls on Fire or
Girls of Paper and Fire. Yes. Not loving it, not hating it. Okay. That's one where, yeah, I'm like, maybe that's a 3-star prediction. Cassidy just did a 3-star prediction video where it's like saying books you're hopeful you'll love, but kind of feel like will be mediocre. And that's one that I'd probably put in there, that category.
That's an interesting video idea. I like that, actually.
Insomnia. I haven't heard that, but I hope you're liking it. I feel like the 30th is a fun day because people are either starting their like June TBRs or finishing up May.
Mm-hmm.
Have either of you planned, I don't know, like Taylor, do you plan out what you're going to read for the month, or are you a mood reader? And then Kristen,
So I am totally a mood reader. I'll have like certain things that I kind of like Kristen's radar reads, which by the way, I love those videos. But so it's sort of like I'll be thinking about it and maybe I'll have access to it, but it really comes down to what I'm in the mood for, or if, like Kristen says, you need to read this book, then I do it.
I don't feel like I pressure you to read that many books, but
No. No, I
like,
mean it in a good way. Like,
no, I totally made her read The Crescent City, even the second book, which like she had to buy the second book. So I was like, I need you to read this book so that we could talk about it right away.
It was worth it. It was not great, but the discussion was great. It's like ACOTAR. Like I thought Court of Silver Flames was hilarious. Like, did I think it was a great book? No, but it was really fun talking to you about it.
Okay, I just saw this today, Cassidy. Like, I saw it for the first time today of people being like, my TBR/MBR. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I like that it's like
maybe
more
read,
generalized.
right?
Yeah, maybe read or might be read. Sort of, that's how I was.
I like it. I like that idea too. Although I used to say that I do like radar reads or mood read. And then now I'm finding that my month is a lot more booked because I don't read that much in a month. And then I'm doing like a few different read-alongs that I'm like, oh, actually, I have like one mood pick to throw in there. But it's kind of working out because I'm usually excited for the books I have to read anyway. But it's definitely a lot more structured lately.
I feel like the TBRs can be like, I feel like there's so much pressure around them. Like, whether or not you have so many on your list, or then at the end of the month, people feel like bad for not finishing your TBR, or like for not reading everything on there. It's like this weird like pressure that you're putting on yourself for no reason, sort of like. But I do notice that I feel a lot less stressed now that I'm having at least like some sense of priority, like that, like actually seeing my radar reads is not just like, hey, these are on my mind right now, and seeing them instead is like, hey, like for the next couple months, like let's work away at these ones as it goes. And I feel like I'm not so lost then when I finish a book. And
yeah, I feel like I'm a weird mood reader in the sense that I'm a mood reader and I need to be excited about a book. Like, I have to be in the mood to read the specific book once I've started, but until I start a book, I don't know what mood I'm in. So it helps me to like put a list of books or even plan the order I'm going in, because then I'll pick it up, and if I'm not in the mood for it, I'll DNF it and move on. But otherwise, I kind of will finish a book and I'm like, I have 8 options. Where do I go from here? And I can't. None of them, like, they all either sound really good and I can't pick, or none of them sound like exactly what I want, which is usually the same thing I just finished reading.
Yeah,
so that's where I'm at. But
and you can't pick up something that's like too similar to something that you've just read either. Like, I guess unless you're in the mood for a genre, but generally, like, I like to switch it up. Otherwise, I'll compare another book that I read after to the one that came before, which I think somebody was actually saying in the comments that they didn't want to pick up a book because they just read something similar. So
probably missed that, but I'm the opposite. I finished the series and then I'm like, I want the exact same thing, please. Maybe even more. Just I want more books than that. But like, I think that's where I went wrong with Jade City. Is I picked it up right after finishing Empire of Gold, which is the 3rd David Bod conclusion book, and I had heard like that author loves that series. Shannon Chakraborty loves the Jade City Greenbone Saga series. I'd heard comparisons of like these both have complex sibling relationships and big worlds, and I picked it up. I was like, this is going to be perfect. It'll be exactly what I just finished reading. And then I did do that thing where I compared it the whole time, and I think that took away from my enjoyment. But then now,
I think those are very different books, though. Like they have like you said,
really
like
different.
those like keywords, but the vibe is so different.
Yes, but like in my mind, I'm still like, if you loved this, you'll love this. I do think that the comparison holds up, but it's a very different vibe.
Yeah.
I think I had a major book hangover after Empire of Gold because I loved it so much, and it was like such a perfect conclusion to the series. Um, it was really hard for me to pick up anything after that because it was just so perfect.
So perfect. And I'm sad the short stories weren't out then, because that would have been like the perfect transition out of that world.
Yeah.
I love that Rachel plans the whole TBR for a year. I've seen Rachel's plans and it's insane. But you also read so much, Rachel. I feel like it's less, I don't know, like I feel like you're able to plan all of these things out because you'll know you'll stick to it. Whereas, I don't know, I slump a lot. So
I don't think I can stick to it. I like that I'm doing a little bit of structure, but I don't know. I felt
working out. I want to binge read more series, but now I feel like I'm jumping around more. So I think that's an influence of BookTube on me.
Yeah.
Same with Empire of Gold. Yeah, that book, that whole series put me in a book hangover after each book. We missed this one. What's a POP?
Pile of possibilities.
Oh.
I like that. Like that's how I see my like radar reads, is that it's like, okay, I want to get to these, and that way I can like pick and choose from wherever. But I'm in a really weird place. My radar reads, my last one, that I was like, this is so many books. It's too many books. Oh my God, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like when I was making the video, and I have mostly read them, and now I'm just like, what do I do with my life? Where do I go from here?
Do any of you set like a yearly, not pile of possibilities, but like series to get to? Because that's one that I feel like that's the one I set, and I have so many at the beginning of the year, and then I look at it at the end of the year and it's completely different to what I've actually read. So that's the one where I feel like month to month I can still kind of do a pile of possibilities and then somewhat stick to that, but like year to end of the year, I vary so much, and I have like books on there that I never want to, that I've completely have dropped off my TBR, no longer interested in, ones that I didn't have on there.
This year,
I'm pretty fluid.
Yeah. I made a list of priority series. You go, Taylor. You finish.
Okay. Sorry. I was just gonna say that actually, like, I think it's probably because I'm not on like BookTube and stuff, but I try not to have a structured like list. Like I have, I guess, a pile of possibilities, but I also don't set like number goals for myself because reading for me, like, I never want it to feel like a chore. And if I'm writing a lot, then I don't read as much, and vice versa. So like,
wait, you write? That's awesome.
I do, yeah.
Oh,
So
cool.
I don't have anything published yet. So but like my reading like fluctuates so much that like when I'm not reading, it's usually for a good reason, and then like I don't want to feel bad about not reading.
That's true. Like switching
I just try to be nice to myself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like that approach. I feel bad now if I am not reading in a specific period of time and I'm watching TV instead, but that like sometimes you just need to give your brain a break.
I feel like I get really different things out of like binging books versus binging TV. Like those are really two separate mind spaces that I want to be in. And so I get like, yeah, I try not to pressure myself, and I don't do like the number goals really either. But this year I'm trying to do like a priority series list. So I did make like a list of series that I don't necessarily want to read them all, but I want to at least try the first book in each of those series. And like I'm actually doing pretty good at it. Like I think I'm on track for the year, and it's just helping. I also made like a list of like continuation books that are coming out this year so that I don't forget them, and I like put a note in my calendar so I can like I'm reminded the day of to like check the library and like stuff like that. So like just so that I don't like totally forget about series that I'm in the middle of, or that I don't like just wander and then like have like nothing series. I feel like last year I got like, I don't know, like just like scribd scrolling, and I read so many random books that were so that then I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional with what I do this year.
And you check in a lot more often, I've noticed, with like what series you wanted to read in for the rest of the year, or start at least. So probably that's the best way to do it. I think maybe mine varies so much because I'm just like, I make it at the beginning of the year, and then at the end I'm like, well, what was on that? Which Kristen Craves also said. She's like, I don't even know what's on it. How do you stick to something you don't check? I don't make lists. Everything on red is my pile of possibilities. That makes sense. I actually don't like having a physical TBR, so for me, I'd rather have just a list that I can edit than have the books physically, and then I feel like then they are in a pile of possibilities. Somehow, like them being tangible means that they are now a must be read, like yelling at me type.
I don't have like any one place where I put things down. And I was talking about this in like one of my videos earlier this year where I was like, people give me like ideas for how to like, do this. But I think I'm just really visual. So it's like I'll make random notes in my phone, or like I'll take screenshots when I'm watching YouTube of like, oh, this sounds good. And I'll like take a quick screenshot of the video. So I don't, and like, I know people use Goodreads and like they actually keep track of their like launch to reads, and like I don't at all do that. But what I did was like not PowerPoint, but like Google presentation or whatever. And I started making like different. So I have like, okay, this is what I actually put on my radar reads, and I just like put like an image of the book, or like these are all the books that I randomly have heard about. And I think that like just like then I scroll and I have like different pages for like different moods or different like levels of how much I want to read them.
Like a bookish Pinterest mood board.
Exactly. A really like low scale one.
That's so funny.
I have a really good mood board app, Kristen, or like website. I will send it to you if it's potentially of interest. I use it for sewing, but like I think it would be really good for what you've just described.
I use Amazon lists because I do like that they have the image of the book, and you can put a comment. So I'll put which like people recommended it to me. That way I know, oh, actually, like I've read a bunch of books by that this person recommended, and they were all 5 stars. I need to really value their recommendations more. But it doesn't let you put it like into a nice visual cluster.
Yeah.
A few wishes to get to the people helping with read-alongs, but I mainly set a number to read and try to reach that. But all the series I want to get magnetized to what I want. That makes sense. Yeah, read-alongs determine a lot of it, and then I kind of go from there. Way too many goals. I love making lists. Yes. It's like the January excitement, and then do you hold yourself to no? But I guess it's fun to just make the list. Yeah, and like make a TBR. Which Cassidy, I'm amazed that you are so like easygoing about this, because yours is also a punishment-based one, and I feel like I would have so much trouble not forcing I would have a hard time not actually then letting myself mood read around that. But it's great that you do. Definitely agree with this. Books in the year 100. I stopped setting a yearly number goal because I never meet it. So that's the one that I've taken off my goals.
It's also when you read like huge epic fantasy, like you just it's 3 romance books or something like that sometimes. Yeah. Like it just doesn't equate.
That's true. I read 2 graphic novels last month and was like, yes, I read, they're part of my overall number. But then when you think about it, it's like, I don't feel like they weren't books I'd originally planned to read, and it didn't feel like substantial. So it feels like, yes, I read the 2, so my number went up, but I almost discount them mentally, which is only because I don't read graphic novels, not because they're less.
That's how I feel about like the random one-off romance books that I read. Not the ones like that I intentionally pick up, but like a lot of what I did last year was just like random ones that I didn't care about. They didn't they entertained me for that moment, but then I felt like I got nothing out of them. They weren't books that I would recommend. They weren't books that I would like include in any like list videos or any videos at all. And I like only enjoyed them momentarily. So then I was just like, that time was like thrown away. Like I just felt like some like, ugh, like what a waste about it.
That kind of feels to me, I've been thinking of making like a discussion video about like slow 5-star books that kind of build on you, and after looking back, you're like, oh, that feels like a 5-star, versus one that you read and you were like, that was a definite 5-star. Because there's been a lot of those where I read them and I race through them, and almost the fact that I read them so fast, where I was so into it and so gripped, makes it feel like it should be like a 5-star forever favorite. And then I look back and I'm like, actually, no, that was a 3-star, but it was just written like for what I needed in that moment, or just written in a really fast way.
It's like the longevity of the feeling.
Mm-hmm. So discussing physical TBRs, a lot of owned books, but also use the library. For having a physical TBR, don't like the libraries. They don't have much English books. Yeah, that's I know a problem with other countries where if you read
yeah, Taylor and I
think Kristen and I both have that problem. Like
yeah.
the Denmark system has a decent amount of ebooks, but like if you want physical books, it's pretty much impossible. Especially I've moved to a smaller town now and they have like maybe 3 YA titles in English and that's it.
I guess it's easier for them to get ebook rights, but yeah.
They have, I think they have a pretty good ebook system, but like Taylor said, I think I waited several months to get a copy of the first Mistborn book, like a physical copy, because like, and that was when like the city that we used to live in is like the second biggest city in all of Denmark, and the library had one copy of the Final Empire in England.
And you would think that because it's not the first primary language, that there would be less demand for it, but then I guess because everyone needs those specific copies, there's more.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like most people in Denmark also speak and read English, so like then there's extra demand because books aren't often translated unless they're for kids or like really popular titles.
Yeah, definitely. Audios. Do you have English audio books in Denmark? Or is that also not?
Again, like through the library's ebook system, well, ebook and audiobook system, they do have some. Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's
just
like
and like I use Scribd a lot. Yeah, exactly.
We're having the opposite kind of problem where my grandma's here and she reads Russian Ukrainian books, but so all we have is just what we own in our house. Like you can't get those really at the library.
Yeah.
Rachel uses Notion, Kristen, for book lists, which I've heard, and I know you can put images in there, but I think inherently it's not the most visual to start with. Like you can put images in, but I think it's mostly list, which is why I stuck with Amazon, but I know you have a lot more like creativity and freedom with that one.
That's good.
I have at least 200 unread physical books. Don't feel pressured. That is amazing for you. I have 16 at the moment, which is the most I've ever had. Well, I had 20 something at the beginning of this year, and I feel so overwhelmed. Part of me every time is like, I should just unhaul these because I get so overwhelmed, but they're all books I want to read. It's because I don't read that many books in a month that I feel like this is like a good 6-7 months of books for me to read. And then I also want to read books outside of that. And there's no pressure to read them right away other than my own brain. Kindle has over 400 titles. Yeah, I feel like when they're ebooks on a Kindle or something, it doesn't feel... I think I'm going to buy a few ebooks, like Ninth Reign, we're going to be reading for Cassidy's read along. I'm going to buy an ebook, but I'm not putting it on my physical owned TBR list because in my mind, that's a different thing.
Oh my gosh, 400.
I found that like I've started buying physical books if I know that I love the book. Like it's something I've read on ebook or from the library, and I'm like, you know what, this is a great book. Seeing it on my shelf will make me happy. So then I buy it.
That's where I'm at now too. Like now that I'm staying, for a while I wasn't buying books because I didn't know like if I would just be packing them up and shipping them somewhere else. So now that I'm like sort of staying here for a little bit longer, like for an indefinite amount of time, I'm definitely like, okay, I'm going to buy a bookshelf. I'm going to ship all of my books from home here, and I'm going to start slowly collecting more. But it's not necessarily that I want to buy new books, like with a few exceptions, but I'm more like, okay, I just finished Course of Dragons. I think that was solid. Like I would love to be able to reread those books again. I kind of want to get them physical now. Like I'm waiting for the Aurelian cycle to like all be in the same format with the same covers and paperback, and then I'm gonna get them all in paperback, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I used to think that I wanted to own books even if I hadn't read them and they were beautiful covers, or I had read them and they weren't my favorite, but they had beautiful covers. And now I'm realizing that like seeing them on my shelf doesn't bring me the same joy if I don't have that emotional connection to it. So I'm very much now trying to just buy. And I think that's partly why the physical TBR for me is overwhelming, because a lot of times I'll read a book, it's not a forever favorite. And so it just kind of, I unhaul it and then I feel bad that I spend that money on it. Whereas if I buy it and I know, like I buy it after I read it and I know that I love it and want it on my shelves, that feels like a better investment.
Yeah. I do actually have a huge physical TBR, but like all of the books that I held up at the beginning, like I have all of those physical, and I have like a small handful of others. It's definitely under 10, I think.
Which, yeah, shouldn't feel overwhelming, but would. Even that, yeah. I think 3 would be good for me. Maybe would be the ideal, but I'm an exception. So an audio, if I don't have the physical book. Yolene, do you read audio? Like, do you do that whole immersion reading where you listen to the audio and read the book too, or do you just use the physical as a reminder that you need to get to it for the audio? At this point, I buy the physical book and then I get the ebook because I missed a week. I now get ebooks because my dog wakes up really easily. So that's my thing too, is sometimes I'll have a physical book and I want to borrow the ebook from the library anyway, because then I can read it then and not wake my dog up.
That's the same. I have become like an under the cover, like grown up reader now. And again in my life. And you can't do that with physical books anymore. So
you would think that, yeah, as adults, that hiding under the covers goes away. But it's
a cycle. It comes back around. But I've actually heard of that before, like what Yolene said, with like wanting to physically own a book before they'll listen to the audiobook. I've heard like Jessie May from the channel Jessie May. She's talking about that as well.
To see it as
because then she feels like it's more wasteful, or like in her what she said in her video was that she felt if she'd already read it, like listened to the audio, and she didn't already own it physically, she was like, then it feels like a waste of money to buy it. Because she's already consumed it, so she like has to buy it first.
That's too funny. I'm really excited for The Windowing Flame. I really hope I love it. I've heard it's good characters too. Immersive reading. Most time I just listen to the audio. Okay. Never read ebooks, and since my country doesn't prioritize English fiction, I have to buy them either way, so I don't mind buying them. Yeah, if I don't have access to something through my library, I don't feel any guilt whatsoever owning that book, even if I don't get to it right away. But if I do have access to it, like right now, I've been buying a lot of new releases, and then I haven't gotten them as fast as I could, and then the library gets them, and there aren't that many holds, and then I'm like, I should have just been patient, but I didn't. But then I'm also supporting authors and pre-ordering, so it's not that bad. My toddler will destroy a physical book if I try to read it in front of her. Sorry, on my phone. People will just not let us read Cobbly, I guess. That's too funny. That's my one thing when I do have kids. I feel I'm so finicky about my books being in perfect condition that I'm going to have to get over that, because I know kids. But you want to introduce them to books and have them love it, but I need to get over my, like, this has to be in my family now is scared to borrow my books and read them. They'll get it from the library because they'll ruin it, which is my problem, not theirs, 100%.
No, I had this relationship with my mom when I still lived at home, or like I was like, and like as like a teenager, like a preteen also, I was like, well, you better not drop this in the bathtub. Like, I don't want to see any wrinkles or marks. Like, I was like reading like this at the time too, like in the book. Or my cousin borrowed a book from me this summer, and he was like, oh, can I dog ear this? And I was like, no, like hard no, don't you dare dog ear my book. Like, yeah, my like 10-year-old nephew, like super excited that you're reading this, but don't you dare ruin the book. It's okay, good to know.
If it's a paperback, don't even like open it fully. You do have to read it like. I like hardcovers because you can at least then like prop them open and they're fine. But also my family reads, or at least my mom, we read, both her and I, we will read with like food a lot. And so not that we get the library books dirty. We care for all the books, but for some reason when it's like my copy, she's extra scared that something will go wrong. Cassidy's books get destroyed. I feel like I wish I was more this way, because it's less, then you can just not worry about it. Whereas I don't know, it's my OCD on that level.
I take good care of my books now, but when I was a kid, I was like I'm the only big reader in my family. I've got a big family. But I was like a rereader. Like my parents couldn't keep me in books fast enough. So, and I always read in the car as well. So I would have like a favorite like car book, and it would like the covers would get ripped in half, and I would dog ear because then like, you know, you're in the car for 15 minutes and then you get out. And so I dog ear my place and then go in where we were going. But so it doesn't like I take better care of my books now, I guess, but I'm not a perfectionist about it. I could just kind of think that
Good way to
like
be.
yeah, it like it shows some kind of book character. It shows love, I guess.
Yeah, they do look like they've been loved. This fish blood thing, Cassidy, though, would destroy me. I would probably cry. I don't know what it is. I think as a kid, I don't have a lot of my kid books anymore. I don't own them, but I think I was also less finicky about it. And now I think I see them more as a collection, probably because I do read books and then buy them after I've read them. And then so it's not a lot of my books on my shelves have not been actually like read. They're just there as like, this is a symbol of the thing that I loved and had an amazing experience with. So it's probably that. Mary Beth cracks the spines, drives people crazy. But at least you're not dog-earing and cracking the spines. So, you know, Rise, so careful. Yeah, okay, you get me, even as a kid. So you were on top of it already. Okay. Should we sprint in like 4 minutes at the 30 mark?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. The other thing I wanted to say was a lifeguard. So I lived at the pool and all my books from those days are destroyed. I can't read on the beach in general. So I can read in the bath, but the beach, for some reason, it's like the sea salt and the sand and the sun. I need to be in the shade completely, and the umbrellas aren't enough. So I don't like it. Out here. Don't read while eating. That's fair. I think I wouldn't read as much as I do if I didn't read during meals, because that's prime time. Read books, took them places until they broke. Oh. Well, they were very loved. Don't care if the spine is cracked. Used to care a lot, but not anymore. And somehow they're still in good condition. That's what because I see people reading paperbacks normally, and then their books look fine. And then my paperbacks, I will read super carefully, and mine don't close properly. So I almost feel like I'm doing, like, maybe if you you normally read them, they actually look better. Maybe I don't know. What's the secret?
I actually saw a channel. I don't think she kept uploading, but she worked at a library and she did a video where she actually showed how, like, when they receive books, how they like wear them in, and it was like folding down the like one page and then the other side and like rubbing it down, and then like they did that like sort of all the way through, like to like actually like sort of break it in so that the spine is less likely to crack.
Was Daniel Green's video?
No, it wasn't Daniel Green's video, but okay. You see how a video like
he did a similar video where he absolutely destroyed a book, and I think he was trying to figure out. I want to say it was like paperback versus hardcover. Which one was going to hold up? It was something like that, and it was one of those where it's like you cringe watching it because the book is being absolutely demolished, but also it was really fascinating to see. He put it through the ringer.
If I find it, I will share it because it was really interesting. I don't think I would ever have the gumption to do it though. Like I would be too afraid of ruining the book to try it out, and I'd be like, "Well, there goes $30." Like,
I would do that for A Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. I feel like that book deserves that treatment. Like my least favorite books, I feel like I would just destroy. Reading at the beach seems like inviting internal sand. Yes, that's what I was. Yeah, exactly. Yolene did this for the special editions. Treats them.
Those are the ones I'd be even more afraid to touch. Oh my gosh.
Special editions are. I kind of wish, this is a whole rant and we don't have time for this, but I wish special editions were available for a longer time and not exclusively. I get why they're done through subscription boxes or like limited time, but I wish they were more accessible because I want them, but I'm not always subscribed to the thing that you get them for. Nerdy Narrative has a video about how to prep a book to read without destroying the spine. That is good to know.
Ooh.
Supposed to open omnibuses, giant comic books, in order to not break them to the point of making them unreadable. Mm-hmm. Search on YouTube how to do it. Okay, so we're not alone.
Oh, okay, I know her channel. That's Leslie, right?
What was that?
That's Leslie, right? Under the narrative?
I think so. If I go to the beach, I carry my book in a Ziploc bag. Yep. That seems reasonable.
I do not.
I've done that with my Kindle in the tub. If
Yeah.
I didn't have like a physical book to read, then I would like
Even if it's
put my
waterproof.
Kindle in. Yeah.
Extra protection. Just,
I mean,
Oh
you
my
know, I
God,
wouldn't like
like,
dip it
goodness.
under or anything, but it was like to stop splashing or whatever.
Yes, I like that. I have not done that ever. But I only started doing e-reader like since moving here. And Denmark is not so big with the bathtubs.
oh, I would think Europe would be more into the bathtubs. I think US doesn't have any deep bathtubs.
Not in Denmark.
They're just
It depends,
very
like
rare.
the
elusive
bigger
everywhere you
houses
go.
have them, but not the smaller, not the apartments for sure.
It's the first thing I check on any apartment tour. I'm like, so show me the bathtub. Okay, should we sprint?
The
Do we want to
UK
do
was
30
bigger
minutes?
with bathtubs.
30 minutes?
Yeah,
Sounds or 45? What do we prefer?
Let's do 30.
Okay, 30. So until the 0 mark.
Sounds good.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
I would have done a timer so that it was like a nice getting back into it, but I don't know how to make that work with my computer not crashing. So
No worries.
trying the gentle voice instead. Hello, everyone. Good night, Yolene. Thanks so much for joining. It was good to chat with you. How did everyone do? Made my lunch, didn't read. Cassidy, what did you make for lunch? I'm doing a Sunday roast again today, so if you want more photos in the Discord, let me know.
Nice.
My favorite, like when it's a long weekend, my favorite meal to cook. None of these sprints are like being yoinked back into the real world. 100 pages of Nomads of the Sea and officially done with May. Nice. I officially finished Goblin Emperor this morning, so that was the end of my May, and then going into June.
Oh, how did you like it?
I loved it.
I love it so much.
Oh, have you both read it?
I haven't yet.
Oh, it was really good. I think 4.5 stars probably. It didn't quite give me, like, I wanted it to be, it's a standalone, and that happens a lot where I want more books, or I want it to like cover more time and be longer. But other than that, it's a very political, like heavy political fantasy, but very like only in one insular setting. So it's that court, and you basically just follow like all the different meetings and conversations and letter writing and alliances, and like it's day-to-day workings of him trying to like set up this new government. But I love that stuff.
It's really good. Like some of the names were kind of confusing. Like I found it a little hard to figure out which of the courtiers were which for a while, but I love it so much. And just like the fact that the central conflict is just like he wants like connection with other people makes it like, yes, there's like political intrigue, but there's like such a lovely, gentle undercurrent that runs throughout that I just love it. But there is actually a sequel, sort of. It's like a very small, slim one that's follows the Speaker to the Dead. Is that the title?
I think
The sort of like judge guy.
Emma
Witness to the Dead, yeah.
Was actually the one who inspired me to pick up Goblin Emperor, and said that, yeah, Witness for the Dead, I guess it has a sequel coming out in June too, I think. Emma, correct me if I missed that. But basically we're saying that I just finished Goblin Emperor, as you know, and I loved it. And then Taylor read it a while back and loved it. So big fans. Kristen should read it. Yeah, I agree. I love the hopeful tone of it, and I liked that it was a book about kindness. And like I think my favorite takeaway from it is that it's about imperfect people being kind. Like it doesn't show that it doesn't show that you have to be a perfect person that never has a temper or never has like it urges to be vindictive to someone or like do what someone did to you and like get back at them. It's not like you have to be perfect and not have those urges. It's that you have to then not act on them. And that's kind of what I took away from it. And I thought it was just really heartwarming that way, because it's like anyone can be really
is
kind.
Yeah. This sounds like you're saying all my buzz, especially Taylor saying like it's about like wanting to like connect with people. I'm like, oh, my
heart. Cassidy saying lovely and gentle anti-buzzwords. Very heartwarming, very like political, but meetings and like conversation. So again, I think Cassidy, it's going to be like a 2-star for you, or you're going to DNF and hate it, or you're going to love it. It's going to be no in between. But it is very like soft, happy. So I don't know if it's going to give you that like stakes that you might want. DIY ramen, nice.
Ooh.
30 pages, Bone Shard Daughter. Nice. I read about 30 pages. I went back and reread what I had missed from the beginning. Where did you end up? Like, how far did you get? What are you reading? Kristen, did you pick? Taylor?
So how
are you liking it?
I've been reading Try the Orange Tree. I was going to do a chapter of each, and then I was like, ooh, I got intrigued. So I read one chapter each sprint that we did. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll stick with it. And actually, I like really need to stop reading well tonight. So like focusing on a physical book is probably a good idea.
You'll have to then urge me to pick that one up because that's the longest book on my TBR. I bought it in 2020, so it's been on there a while for me at least. I need to get to it. City of Dusk and Children of Earth and Sky to finish in May, which is not going to happen. Yeah, I don't close out months on track usually. I overlap a lot.
No.
Chapter 4 of Bone Shard Daughter. I love that this series is like being so read right now. I do think it's a really strong series, just not for me.
I really liked the mystery in the first.
Mm-hmm.
I liked a lot about the first.
I still want to know how the mystery ends. I genuinely, like, that's the only thing that would keep me interested in book 3, but I'm probably just going to read spoilers. Politics.
Yeah, I think I'm going to see what people think about it.
I second this. Got to page 28. Yay. I think we're about the same pace then, Mary Beth. That's perfect. I have thoughts, so I will text you afterwards. That roast sounds so yummy. Thank you. I can tell you what happens. Oh, perfect. Yay. You read it and then tell me. Because I want to know, but I don't want to read it. And not every book has a good synopsis website. Taylor, what are you reading?
I'm still reading Queens of Innis Lear, and still at the part when I'm rereading, but it's good. It has I love multi-point of view. This one might have like a few point of views that I don't really see the point of yet, but I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. And it does make for like a more well-rounded read. But somebody said earlier that it's slow, and it is slow, but that's okay. I'm enjoying it.
How many POVs?
It's complex. Sorry?
How many POVs is it? Is it one of those with like 12 or like 4?
So each of the 3 sisters has one, and then there's one of the sisters' childhood friends, her handmaiden, one of the kings, and then sometimes there's like sort of flashbacks in time that have a different point of view as well. So it feels like kind of a lot. But like it's not jarring or anything.
I don't know if you agree with this.
Okay, I don't know which sister would be the best point of view. There's one that I am very much more enjoying than the others, but I don't know if that's just my personal taste. But I'm liking the middle sister the most so far.
Do you, like, when you say that the POVs don't make sense, do you want like in a multi-POV book, do you want every one of them to have a role to play, or you're just not connecting with some of them?
Well, I mean, they have roles to play, but I think what I meant is that I don't know why I'm being told the story from their point of view. I mean,
Not
it's to bring in like extra information. So I do sort of see it. I mean, it's not like I've turned the page and I'm like, oh no, this character again, which I did get in Game of Thrones. But this is more of like a complete story where they're sort of filling in. They're telling the same story rather than like multiple storylines. So and I quite like this form of telling it, and I often write this way as well. So it doesn't bother me, but just trying to figure out sort of the purpose of each of them, I guess.
Yeah, the reason I asked, I think for me, multi-POV, I like it if I like all the different people that we're following, and then if I don't connect with them, I'm annoyed because I have to suffer through or like wait until I can get to one that I do like. But I don't usually care what they're actually doing in the story. I just want to be like, I want to enjoy being in their head, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of how I feel about Game of Thrones. Like, there's some characters that I love to be in their heads and some that I really don't. But this one, like, yeah, I wouldn't say, I mean, they're very different characters. I think one of the sisters is quite hard for me to connect with. But like, I don't think it's I don't think it's bad. And they're quite short actually as well. So you never feel like it's dragging on and like, oh no, you have to suffer with this character for a really long time.
That's good.
So far, I'm
I was
like,
just gonna ask if it was like distinct chapters, or if it was more like we're just like the perspective shifts. There's like a paragraph break, and you're in someone else's.
yeah, this is more distinct. This is more distinct chapters. It's not like Mask of Mirrors, for example, where it shifts a lot more within chapters. But the chapters in Queens of Innisleer are shorter and yeah, single point of view.
Taylor, have you read Liar's Knot, the sequel to Mask of Mirrors?
Yes, I did, and I loved it. I didn't love it quite as much as the first one, but I really loved it.
I'm gonna try.
It's like a very series.
Wait, you still haven't read it yet, Maria?
I have.
I was thinking that the other day because it was like you bought it right when you were like slumping. I couldn't remember.
I picked it up twice. I'm a little scared of it now because I started it when I was slumping, and then I think I was still in that mindset of like, now maybe if I read, I'll get out of my slump, but I shouldn't have picked up another book. So I'm hoping that it's not the book, but because I did pick it up, put it down twice, I'm a little scared that I'll pick it up and it'll slump me again. I don't think it was the book though, because I remember liking it. Nothing was working for me at that time. So I'm a little intimidated though. It's also, I think I read 200 pages and now I'm like, do I reread the 200 pages or do I just pick up? So that's also one where I'm like, I don't know what to do with that one.
I say reread the 200 pages.
I think
because
I would say the same.
Yeah. But maybe you can do it in a different way.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm glad you liked it. Both of you loved it though, because I think
it has a I hope you do, but I think it has a really good balance of character, plot, and world building.
Ah, perfect.
So, like you
said,
it
felt like it had more world building than the first book.
That's what you said. Yeah, I remember I was confused with the world building in the first book, which I think might have been also why I slumped with it a little bit, because I picked it up not too far after the first, but like a few months after, and so when I was like really, my brain wasn't ready to do the calculations of like what house is this and who is this person, which may be worse now that more time has gone by, but hopefully not. We'll see. I will report.
We're talking about the Mask of Mirrors and the Liar's Knot, the Rook and the Rose series
by M.A. Carrick, Marie Brennan plus Alec Helms.
Helms, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pen name for both. So hello, Ryan. And Books at Midnight, I don't know if these are going to be recurring because I do work on Mondays, so it definitely wouldn't be this day but I'm looking forward to doing more sprints. This was like my first one, and it was the most intimidating, so now I feel like we can just do them more often. Hope my Wi-Fi doesn't hate me every time. Rachel thinks Cassidy would hate it. It's got a really cool world. And I think, and it does have fast plot in the second half of the first book. And I know Cassidy is a plot-driven reader and a world-driven reader, but it is very character-heavy too. So
yeah.
So you have read the first one, and it's the second one that you haven't read yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Loved the first one. I think. What did I give it? High 4 stars, 4.5. I thought that the first one, I wanted more of the first half. Like I wanted the first book to be all of the first half. And then the second book I wanted it split into 2 books because I loved the characters. And then I thought I got lost with the plot, the world building, the dream, like magic and all that a bit. So.
Yeah. I mean, the dream sequence was not the best part.
No.
But like, no. I think that you will like the relationship building in this one.
That's what I'm hoping. And I was getting really into like the potential romantic tension. So I'm excited.
Yeah. But I think that she did it. I think that they did it really well because you sort of leave off and you're like, at the end of the first book, like, I mean, like, I think, no, wait, you were the one who said that you didn't know who it was.
I didn't predict who it would be. Yeah, I still don't know for sure because I didn't get to a like confirmation point. I'm just assuming. I don't know if that, like, Taylor, did you know who the romance would be between? I feel like it could be. I think I had 2 candidates. Oh, really?
No. Okay, so yeah, there are 2 candidates, but for me it was very, very obvious what direction. Like it was.
There's 2.
It was obvious fairly early on in the first book what was going to happen.
I thought so too. Well, I did have there was the one possible misdirect, but I just felt like with like okay, I can't say anything because I don't want to ruin it for you because I want you to see. But I think that she, like, I know who your two like possibilities are going to be, and I think that she handled it the way that I wanted it to be handled for sure.
And that I would be happy with.
Yeah, and it's not like suddenly they have a different relationship. It's like it grows well.
Of the two that I think it would be, I definitely want it to be one. I don't want it to be the other, but I think she could go in that direction. But I'm hopeful that it'll be the one that I want. So
okay, you have to text me who you want it to be.
I don't know. What time is it for you both now, Kristen and Taylor?
It is.
It's 10:15.
Okay. How long are you available to stay on?
I think I'm gonna head off pretty soon. I don't think I can do another sprint.
Fair enough.
I could probably do one more.
Okay. And then I guess I can always hang out after if anyone wants just me, but at least another sprint.
Okay. Then maybe it's a good time for me to say goodbye. And thank you so much for having me on. It was so much fun to talk to you guys.
Thanks for joining us.
And
I'm glad we got to connect like actual real time, not just comments.
Definitely. Definitely. Thanks so much. And I hope we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, me too. Well, thanks
Bye,
for joining.
everybody. It was so lovely to see all the comments and everyone being so engaged. Thanks so much.
The nicest people. Bye, Taylor.
So nice.
Let us know what you think of
Bye.
Slayer.
Sorry?
Keep us posted on what you end up thinking of Queen of Slayer, because
will do. Yeah.
I think that's an underrated one.
I'm liking it so far. Bye.
Bye, Taylor.
Got a lot of people reading the Drowning Kingdom, Drowning Empire. It's called. I wonder when. I think the third one isn't announced yet, as far as I know.
I think it's this fall.
Oh, is it? That makes sense.
Yeah.
But up then, yeah, I can see what people.
The Bone Shard War.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining. Bone Shard War. Yeah, I think so. Are you still undecided on if you're going to continue?
Yeah, I think I'm going to wait and see what people think about it. If people are like, "Oh my God, she really pulled it around," and then then like, yeah, for sure, I'll check it out. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
It just wasn't there for me in the second.
That one, it's weird. Both that one and Justice of Kings, there's a romance element to it that I almost feel like we're getting more authors who are trying to do romantic subplots in fantasy lately, and they're not, like, that's the thing that doesn't work for me. There were other things with Justice of Kings that didn't work, but for Bone Shard Emperor, I remember that was one of the biggest that I was like, I could have read it and it would have been a lackluster, like, forgettable book, but that was the part where I was like, I actually actively want to stop reading this.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious what people would think of the romance, because it's an interesting one.
Oh yeah, because you DNF'd Bone Shard Emperor.
Yeah. 100 pages from the end.
I think that the part that I disliked, I disliked the one person's motivations the whole time. Like, it didn't make sense with where they were at. Like their choices and their decisions and their thought process never seemed to line up together. But then also I didn't like the bad guy, like the bad guy channel, like perspectives that we got. I actually just I didn't like it. I don't know.
Yeah. I kind of just didn't care. I didn't actively dislike her. I just wasn't very invested in anyone. Romance wasn't great in Justice of Kings, but it was kind of deliberate. Older woman looking back on a relationship. It was very insta-love. Very much. And then there's like a hint of another one in there that I didn't think was done well. It came out of nowhere for me, and I feel like it invalidated the first insta-love, even though that was insta-love. I don't know. I had a lot of issues with that romance. But it is Justice of Kings, Kristen, is kind of, it's like, it reminds me of Lady Trent memoirs, where it's like an older woman looking back.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is I can almost see, I know Sarah left now, but Sarah from Bright and Bookish, for everyone in the comments, didn't like Isabella Trent from the Lady Trent. She was Lady Trent was kind of insufferable character, in Sarah's opinion. And I feel the exact same way about the Justice of Kings character. So now I'm like, I almost want Sarah to read Justice of Kings so that I can ask them what their opinion is on
that one.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's how I get Sarah's perspective on Isabella now, because that's how Helena comes across to me. I wonder what goes wrong. I was just indifferent. It wasn't like, it's not one that I still think I could potentially like pick up the series. It's not one that I had like a lot of firm opinions on. I just was kind of like, I think I could read other things that I'd enjoy more. And then there were like little things where I was like, I don't love the way this is being handled, but I didn't have strong opinions. I'm in general, I DNF a lot for not loving characters because I need to be invested in characters. So that for me is a big one.
Yeah. I feel like I've started DNFing books. I feel like I've actually been doing it a lot lately. Mm-hmm. But I almost do it when I feel like I don't care. And like when I notice myself feeling like, oh, I really should finish such and such. And I almost like stop reading altogether because I need to read that book and I don't care to pick it up. Like that's when I have like this like sense of like, like to pick up a book, then I'm like, okay, why am I even reading this then?
So question for you and for everyone in the comments. So if you then follow a book through and don't DNF it, but you were dreading picking it up, do you knock down points for that? Because I think Justice of Kings objectively, not that it's objective, it's like opinion-wise, my subjective opinion is that like quality-wise compared to other books, it's a 3-star, but I dread the last, like the 60 pages that I had to finish. It took me so long and I didn't want to pick it up. And so I'm like, I think it's 2.5 because of that alone. But is that fair to the book if I should have just then DNF'd it? Like, how do you treat that? I know you don't do star ratings anyway, but
I do. I just don't talk about them on the like channel. You're like, this is a 4-star book. Like, it's like they're all 4-star books. Average it out there. Yeah, I feel like I would give my like subjective rating. I feel like this is the problem with why I don't share it, because I feel like subjectively I would rate that book less. Like, because I just like wasn't into it, like something wasn't working. But that doesn't mean that it objectively is worth a 3 or a 4 or a 2. Right.
But then even saying objectively it's a 3-star book, I know there's people who loved it and think it's 4 or 5 stars. So even that is like, it's not right. It just, if I had DNF'd it before the 60 pages, I would have been like, actually, this is like a 3-star quality book in my mind. But because I then did push through, I don't know. I'm kind of, so Han says he doesn't DNF books. I'm struggling with this a bit more lately because I feel like I'm not DNFing books as much as I used to because I want to be able to talk about them more on BookTube.
I'm the opposite. Before I had a channel, I would like always finish a book and I would be like, well, that sucked. Like I hated that, but I would always finish. Whereas now I'm like, my reading time is like, I want it to be more effective. So then, but I also think that I'm more like soft DNFing things, where I think like I'm like, this isn't working right now. And I'm outside of like a couple of occasions, I'm usually not like writing the book off for good. I'm more just like, yeah, this didn't work for me right now. And then like if I get the urge to pick it up and finish it in the future, like I will.
Is a soft DNF for you like a few months down the line I'll pick it up, or like a few years down the line? Because I can't do that. I've soft DNF'd a few books this year, and I feel like for me then there are ones I might come back to, but it would be like 2 years from now, because Maria of 2 months from now has the same thoughts as Maria now.
Yeah. Admittedly, I feel like I'm soft DNFing the ones that I got EARCs for, and I feel like a little bit more obligated to read them and review them on the net value, so that I can like reduce points. Or like I feel bad getting an ARC and then just like DNFing books. It's like, I'll get the library book later and I'll finish this and I'll.
Yeah, the pressure with ARCs is I've never had any, and I don't know if I would ever want to, because I'm not good about reading under pressure. I think it's the English major. Like it reminds me of my traumatic college years. Yes, Shadia, I agree with this. I usually end up disliking the book more if I should have just DNF'd. It's rare that it ends up being a good like it ends up mostly series, I think, are ones where it's like if I give the next book a try, that sometimes works for me. Usually if the book I'm not liking, it doesn't work. Ratings, it's objective unless you're rarely see ratings as objective unless you're a professional book critic. Yeah, that's true. Reading time, wanting to prioritize, but I love stories, so I give them all a chance. That's great. I think I'm such a finicky reader that I don't like reading as like the actual, what's the word? Like I don't enjoy the act of reading unless I'm enjoying the book. And I think that that's not how most people read. I think most people like reading as this for the sake of reading.
Yeah.
And that's not how my brain takes it in.
I'm actually the same because that's like I can't I don't read news articles. I don't read like magazine stories. Like my partner's always sending me articles and I like make it through like a third and like oh, okay, like I get the gist of the story. Like I get what this is trying to tell me. Like it's not the act of reading. I'm not someone who's going to sit down and pick up anything that happens to be around.
Yeah.
Like at a hotel or something. Like no,
exactly.
I want it to be fulfilling.
I want it to be into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I proceed to eat them into a charity shop. Prioritizing his time is super important. One of the best reasons to soft DNF. Yeah. I think if I don't DNF, I sometimes get in a slump and then it's counterproductive because I'm like, it's faster if I just finish it. But then actually it would have been faster to just put it down. Decided those weren't for me. Now tell authors who send me books for review, I can't promise I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to approach it. I'm the same. I read for the story, not for the act of reading. Yep. I'm glad that made sense because I feel like a lot of people love the act of reading as a hobby, whereas, yeah, I need to be into it. I'll read books I hate, but I still have to enjoy the hate process. So I just can't read. Yeah, Cassidy, I don't know how to enjoy hating a book. But I don't, that doesn't make sense to me on a deep level. I know other people can, but I just can't suffer through something. Same with TV. If I hate it, I'm out.
I can read books that I think are bad, but that have entertainment value. Which I think it's not quite hate. Like I don't think I would hate something, but I would read something and be like, this is ridiculous, or like this is so poorly written, or like this is nonsense. But it's like almost fun because of that, like a bad movie where you're like, this is ridiculousness. So it's not exactly the same, but
like enjoyable. Yeah, it's like the quality isn't comparable, but you're enjoying yourself still.
Yeah. That's like I haven't read, but I feel like I would put like Ice Planet Barbarians in that category. Like I feel like I could probably read that and be like, this is nonsense, but like I would read it.
It's fun nonsense. Yeah.
I enjoy it, you know?
I like complaining about reading. I like complaining about something I hated. I enjoy more than talking about something I loved almost.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy the actual hate.
But I think that's why Taylor and I have such a fun time talking about Sarah J. Maas books. Is that we both actively go in and read those, like knowing what we're gonna get. And we just have such a fun time talking about it afterwards, whether it's like good or bad or all of the above.
I hate to say it, but that's hub with me. Like I don't hate the experience, but I would have probably given up at this point if it wasn't for us reading them together. No longer agree to review self-pub books because I got someone I never read and I feel guilty. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm the worst.
I would totally be the same. And I wouldn't be able to give real, I would be like, what do you say? Like, great premise. I really liked this idea. Like,
how do you not offend? Yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah.
Can read a book I'm hating as long as there are interesting parts throughout the book. Yes, so if you're hating certain parts of it, like certain perspectives, yes, but the entire book or the writing or the way it's written, then I'm out. I think I'm trying to think of a book though that I've read where I've hated some characters. I don't know, maybe if there's a character I really hate, even that ruins it for me.
I almost feel like I'm more likely to read something that I'm actively hating because it's at least getting an emotional response out of me. I almost I DNF more when I'm bored, when I don't care. When I haven't been ripped in any way, I'm just this isn't bad. It's also eh.
No, I'm the opposite. Because then there's potential for it to be like for me to become invested if I'm bored but like don't hate it. Yes, unfortunately, Hob is a tough one for me. I'm at like 4 stars for most Hob books, and then like 2.5 to 3 stars for the finales. And I want to be 5 stars for all of Hob. But
oh my god,
the finale, whole other thing. Hate every
at some point, I feel like you have to like at some point in Tawny Man, like, or like by the end of Tawny Man, you have to be like, just go on without me, Kristen, or reverse, be like, hey, maybe you'll be really into it by then.
There wasn't a single Hob book that I actually was like, I'm done until Assassin's Quest. So I think if there's another one of those, I will say that we'll go and you'll just carry on without me. But if they're all like okay, but not amazing, I'm enjoying the like plot enough. But yeah, Assassin's Quest killed me. The whole
Chatty, that's totally like how with Ship of Magic, like I don't really love any of the characters in the first book. Like by the end, I care strongly about some of them. But in the first book, like they're all really flawed people. Like even like the protagonist, like even Althea, you're like, she makes some choices. Like she's not exactly who, like she's not the best person. Like other people call out her flaws, and you're like, yes, she is a whiny, like kind of stuck up. But I thought it was so engaging because they were all so flawed.
I didn't dislike the characters and like the live ship traders. I just didn't get super attached to any of them. I actually don't see when people say they're unlikable. I don't really see that. There was one very unlikable character, and then the rest I was like, they're good characters. Yeah, I'm just not super connected. If I'm bored, I don't see the point in continuing. Yep. Some of his newer works. That's true. Yeah, Stephen King, I heard, is very like, not all his books are the same type of thing. So people who love him will love some books, hate some books, and so you kind of have to push through and figure out what it is. Should we sprint?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty. What do you want to do? 30 minutes again?
Yeah, 30 minutes, and then I should probably
pop off.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So until do we want 0 mark or 5-minute mark?
Yeah, 0, okay.
Perfect. Alrighty, everyone, happy reading. Hello again, everyone. How'd your reading go?
Yeah, I got another chapter in.
Nice. You still liking it?
Mm-hmm. I actually don't know much about the book going in, other than that it has something to do with like dragons reawakening, and that there was sort of like, I've heard people say like you wait like the whole book sort of for that, but they're like dragon riders, so I'm confused. Like there's like they've sort of explained that there's like good worms that like dragons are separate, but
There's
I
different
didn't know
types.
that there was like actual dragons.
I think there's like different types, and some are, or maybe one of them is that big like threat dragon. I'm not sure. I know it has a lot of religion in it, which I really like in books. So that's what has me most excited.
It's been like back and forth in different places, and like a lot of like names of places and stuff like that. So like I don't have like a good grip on everything yet, but I'm like intrigued. Stuff is happening. So that's good.
Well, good. You're getting me excited to pick it up, which I need to.
How are you liking Stardust Thief so far?
I'm liking it a lot. It's got a lot of fun banter, which I like. And then it has, I think it's a retelling of like 1001 Nights, which I don't know much about, but there's just like little world building things. Like there's a carpet that was just mentioned, and so far the carpet has done nothing magical, but I'm already like, ooh, is the carpet magical? So it's exciting. And it did that thing. I don't know if you've read this in other books, but in the first and second chapter, the first line of each parallels the other. So they're from two different points of view, like one character's point of view and then the other, but they're structured like in the same sentence style.
Yeah.
And it gave me this really cool, like I like that when that happens.
It feels like, obviously it's intentional. It feels like it like fits.
Yeah, it just feels very like grounding in the story in that way, because then both perspectives feel like they're going to connect even though they haven't. Bye, Mary Beth. Thanks so much for joining. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on Stardust Thief when we discuss 8 pages of space between worlds. Ooh, this is one that I actually really want to read. I don't read a lot of science fiction, but this is one that I feel like you read it?
Yeah, if I'm thinking about the right book.
Yeah, I think so. The one where it's like different worlds, I think.
Yeah, like different like parallel universes, and you like somebody in her iteration of the world, like world number whatever, someone's discovered how to travel between them, but you can only travel to a world where you don't still exist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It sounds, I've heard it's like a very easy to immerse yourself in world, even if you're not a science fiction reader. Would you say that's accurate?
Totally, yeah. And I'm not a big science fiction reader. It wasn't like super techy. It was more like the focus was so much more on like seeing different possibilities of like how your life would have been if things had been just slightly different, if you had made different choices, if things had worked out differently. Like that was a lot of them.
That's really cool. That and Becky Chambers are the two that I'm most interested in. Bye, Hans. Thank you so much for joining. Again, it meant the world to me. Inheritance games. Needed something light today while I crochet a blanket. I'm assuming you're doing audio then. That's really nice. I need to get into doing audio and then like doing a craft, because I want to do embroidery and I want to do like crocheting, but because I'm new to both audio and the crafts things, I feel intimidated by both.
Yeah. I actually feel like by the time I got into audiobooks, I had sort of stopped knitting. So now I want to get back into it, but it's like a whole long story. Taylor was telling you I'm like stuck on a single skirt pattern that I've been stuck on for like 3 years. And
I'm like halfway into the flower embroidery. I genuinely think I've like 2 flowers left on this embroidery thing, and that's been for a good 1.5 years, because I pick it up and I do such little amounts each time. Well, I don't want to keep you too late, so
yeah, I might. But it was really nice joining today, and happy Memorial Day. So thank people say.
I wish I had
something
more holidays in the US.
Denmark has like a weird amount of holidays in May and June, like just like so many, and just like middle of the week. Like there was like a Thursday a couple weeks ago, and like Thursday last week, and then like Wednesday a couple weeks before that. Like they're all over the place. But
we have nothing until May, like absolutely nothing after New Year's until May, and then it's May, July 4th, and then Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. So like my job also just doesn't give a lot of holidays, which is sad.
Yeah. Well, Canada's kind of the same. It's like they put all the holidays in the summer. So there's like a long weekend, like, once a month throughout the summer. There's like May 2-4, which was, I think, last weekend. And then there's like Canada Day weekend, and then there's Civic, and then there's Labor Day, and then
it all, adds up.
Yeah.
Is Taylor from Canada? I meant to ask this when Taylor was on.
Taylor's from the U.S.
Okay, I wasn't sure. What part of the U.S.?
Northeast.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. But she's lived abroad for a really long time. She did university in the UK, and then she went back for a bit, and then she moved back to the UK to do like grad school, and that's where she met her husband. Who is
in the UK. Cool. So that is a lot of moving around.
Yeah.
My dream is to live in the UK.
Yeah.
I'd love to make it over there. So many holidays in the summer. Canada sounds nice.
Oh yeah, and wait, Patsy is Canadian as well, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yep. I surround myself with Canadian people. My best friend is Canadian.
We're cool. Chill.
We're the best type of people. Yeah. Love Canadians. Oh no. Pain in the wrist from crochet. I haven't started enough to get anywhere near this, but I saw all the stuff that was like ergonomic, and I'm assuming at some point if you do a lot of it.
Yeah.
Wait, Emma. Oh wait, no, Emma's not Canadian. Emma's British. Yes, England. I'm assuming. I really, really want to. I visited England once, and then I want to visit the rest of the UK.
I haven't actually been to exactly. I haven't been to the UK. I'd really like to. I feel like Scotland and Ireland have always been. I know Ireland's on.
You're close.
Those islands have always been high up there on my list. But.
It's one of those where I'm trying to plan the trip, but because I don't know if I want to try and do all three, like do Scotland, Ireland, and England in one trip, I think that's too much. So I think I need to do like separate trips for all of them.
Yeah. It's tough like totally with being North American. Like anytime you like are flying across the Atlantic, you feel like it needs to be like a big trip. Like it's got to be worth going all that way, especially when you're on the West Coast too. Like that's like so much further. So like you want to like get your worth out of it. So there's definitely the tendency to like overstock a trip. Like I remember the summer that my sister came to see me. We didn't do this, but originally she was like, well, so like I want to go to like Spain and France and Greece and Italy. And I'm like, those are 5 separate trips.
Yeah, it really is. And then the best part, like my favorite part of a trip is when you go with the flow and you do what you feel like doing on that day. So it's counterproductive because I've been saving up all of these like bookmarks of places I want to go and see in the UK. And then I know that if I try and make an itinerary, it's only going to make I need to actually do less of that. But there is so much. I do want to see Wales as well.
I don't know. You're totally right. I do forget about Wales all the time. It has some like really cool history that I don't know enough about. I would love to.
Yeah, I feel like Wales, I would like to see. For some reason, I want to see Wales in like the kind of either fall or winter time. But because I went to England before Christmas, the last time, one and only time I went, I want to do a spring or summer trip for like that in Ireland again, or Scotland. Like I want to go in that time of the year. So I feel like that's why Wales for me would be like a next trip down, because I want to go again in the kind of wintry cold months. Yeah, it just gives
my partner's family, like his heritage is like really, really Scottish, and my family is Irish. So like I feel like those are like 2 separate trips, like.
It really is. There's too much. Yeah. There's just even really like technically, even going to a big city is one trip. I know that, but also at the same time, is it going to stop me from trying to plan all the things? No.
Yeah. It depends on the kind of vacation that you want.
Yeah. Small snapshots. And then I think were you the one that said that your type of like your ideal vacation in your get to know me tag, you said was like one of those where you get to like go on a beach and just like read, relax. And that's me, but without a beach, it's like a lake or something. And so that's the conflict, is like I want to go on all these trips that are really active and have a lot of sightseeing, and then I also really want to just take like a vacation where it's a like in the woods.
We sort of do like a mix. Night. We do kind of a mix when we've been going on vacations here, where we'll do like a long weekend and go to like a city, and then we'll sort of like plan one thing or one sightseeing thing a day, and then we get like so much time to like relax and like just like siesta and have really great food, but then we still feel like we're seeing things. We're just like not like pressured to do too much.
That's the perfect, that's probably the best balance.
Yeah, but like I know people who like when they're going somewhere, they want to like see everything that they possibly can. And like my priority on vacation is like sleeping in.
I feel like one active day, one very non-active day. Yeah, absolutely. My PTO always keeps on going, or like my time off keeps going to like events, so like weddings or things like that. So again, even this year, like all of my time off from work is taken up by the wedding in the summer that I need to go to. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to fit in a trip.
Yeah. No, I'm the same this summer.
And I want to wait until things are now open back up again, but like last year I didn't want to go because I wouldn't want things to be closed and not be able to see things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was like, we were thinking about going somewhere for Christmas, and it was just like different, all the places had different restrictions and like stuff with the holidays too, because you're like not really sure what actually is going to be open and what will be closed.
Yeah, it's not the full experience of it.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland. I think that I hear less about Northern Ireland, so that one's less on my radar. But
so Northern Ireland is like where like my heritage is from, so that's where like I really want to go.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I know anybody who has any heritage or like connection to Northern Ireland other than apparently you. When we went to Bali, we got up at 4 a.m. to see sunrise. So fun fact, I wrote my college, you know how you have to write like a entry, what's it called? The
essay?
Yeah, the entry essay to get into a college. So I wrote mine about how when I was younger, we went to, I think it was like Florida, and my parents were trying to get us to wake up for a sunrise, and I didn't want to wake up, and I was like trying to be really lazy. And then we woke up, went and saw dolphins, and it was like the best experience of my life. And so my entire college essay was like, you should go and like push yourself out of bed and like see the sights.
That's so cute.
But now I'm like, I don't know if I feel like sometimes yes, and sometimes sleep in.
We had this with my sister and I after I graduated. My sister and I went on like a backpacking trip on the East Coast, and we are very different vacationers. So it's like she would like, we would be camping, like she would wake up and go to the beach and watch the sunrise, and I'd be like, don't speak to me for the first 3 hours of the day. Like just very different.
Exactly. My sister would probably also want to like see all the like cool sights and do all the things, and my mom and I would be like, we went to a bookstore. It was a great day.
Yeah.
Walked through rain, sat at a park. Good times.
Yeah. Well, do you have any big books or like any specific books you want to read in June?
I kind of took the month off as far as like mood read. It was mood read May for me. I just read whatever, and now I have all the like, I have to get to these books. Yeah, so I have to finish Words of Radiance, I have to read the entire thing of Words of Radiance for the Brandon Sanderson read along, or Stormlight Archive read along. Ninth Rain, Cassidy's hosting a read along for that I'm really excited for. So I'm doing that, and then we've got Fool's Errand. I've got what is it, Within the Sanct? No, what's the last one?
Within the Sanctuary of Wings.
Dragons? Wings.
Yeah. Wings.
Our last Lady Trent one.
Yeah, those are some solid commitments.
Yeah, and then throw in hopefully like sequels like Hunger of the Gods and Liar's Knot would be nice.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think Within the Sanctuary of Wings is my only commitment. Well,
you're reading Fool's Errand with me.
Oh yeah, no, Fool's Errand. Yeah, so of course Fool's Errand. So those are my only commitments. I think part of me, I'll probably pick up Jade Legacy in June and just finish that up. And gosh, is there another series?
I'm so excited.
I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird mood, so I like don't know what I want to read coming up
Mm-hmm.
because of that. But like, and I was looking at like my like what I have written down, and I've like mostly read what I wanted to for this like season, and I still have all of June. So I think it'll be like what comes up for me at the library.
That makes sense. Are you feeling unsure about continuing on with the Thief series? Or at least it's like not a priority, I'm sensing.
It's not a priority. No. Like I picked that one up like super, super randomly. Even the first book I picked up randomly because like Spoon had the audio and I was in an audio mood and I watched a video that said it was a good audio book. Like it was a really random pickup. So I'll wait and save the next one for like the next time I don't know what to pick up.
That's fair. He's other than like the Great Coats character Valkio, Eugenides is like my favorite character of all time.
Oh, in my head I heard Thief. Did you say Trader's Blade or the Great Coats?
Oh no, I said Thief series, but are you talking about Great Coats is the one that you?
No, I was talking about the Thief.
Oh.
Oh, okay. No, sorry. Then you compared Eugenides to Falco. Okay, cool.
Yeah, those two, my absolute faves.
See, I would really want to pick up the next Great Coats book, but I'm in a weird. My library only doesn't have the audio; it only has the ebook, and the audio was so good the first one that I'm like, I don't want to not love it as much just because it's the ebook or something. I don't know. I'll probably just read it, but
I've heard the audios are like make the experience even better. Can I gift you an audio? How does that work? I want to throw that book at you. Read it. It's really good.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. I think part of me almost feels like I've started a bunch of my priority series so far this year, like about half of them. So then there's a part of me that's sort of like, maybe I just kind of want to like finish up the series that I have started, and then you do like the second half of the year for like starting the next one.
Yeah.
But I'm in a bit of a weird like I don't want to read more romance, but I want there to be better relationships in the fantasy books that I'm reading. And I'm feeling like I can't find the right ones right now. I'm thinking about doing like
most about like YA fantasy. It's been a while since I was invested in a ship. You know?
See, that's like I haven't been in the mood for YA. Like, and I feel like what I want is like I want like the satisfaction that you get out of like a adult like contemporary romance, but I want that in a plot. And I feel like adult fantasy romance is so hit and miss.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about doing like a vlog style, like, can I find the right fantasy romance for me? But I'm even having like a hard time getting good recommendations. People will say stuff and I'm like, no.
I feel like a lot of them fall into a comparable Sarah J. Maas kind of style, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That like bingeable, but not necessarily like the amount of development I want from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like fantasy romance usually lets me down in either the plot or the romance or both. And then it's like,
ooh, Cassidy's saying Bridge Kingdom, which you've read
that is I really liked the Bridge Kingdom. I feel like that's one of the ones that actually did both of those things right. I feel like it's the only that's out of Sarah J. Maas where I'm like satisfied all that. Yeah, I love the Bridge Kingdom. Maybe I should just pick up the sequel. I feel like the next book in that series is there.
I forget what it's called, but I do know that Cassidy, I think, liked the sequel better than the first one.
The Inadequate Heir, the new relationship. Okay, so there's two that are already out: the Bridge Kingdom and the Traitor Queen, and that's like the first relationship. And now we're shifting perspectives, and we're getting a same world, same like war. I think is happening. Okay, do you mean the Traitor Queen, or do you mean the one that just came out, the Inadequate Heir?
Did you read Traitor Queen? Like, did you read book 2?
Yeah. Okay. Solid.
Better. Okay. I know the second one is the desert setting one, so that's the one that I'm like, can I skip book 1 to get to book 2? Not that I want to skip book 1, but like,
I felt like book 1, like Bridge Kingdom was her being like spy, and then book 2 was her being like badass warrior. And yeah, So I have to pick up the next. Maybe I should just do that. But it's it was one of those ones where it like came out on audiobook first for 6 months.
Oh, interesting. I don't think many books do that. The
Davabod short stories did the same.
Yeah, that's because they originally weren't going to publish that one in like in physical at all. Or maybe they were just saying they wouldn't. Maybe that was like a marketing, like actually we are. But they said at first it would just be audio, which I was like, great, I'm gonna have to learn to listen to audiobooks. The inadequate air is weird because it happens during book 1 and 2, but I really enjoyed it. But the stakes are a little low because you know the plot. Oh,
okay, that's good to know. I definitely felt like in the second book, there were times when those characters were around where you could tell that there was like a story happening off page, and so I had a feeling that it would at least cover that time period as well. I'm okay with that. I feel like I had a feeling that was going to happen to some extent.
Are they one of those couples that you were excited to get more of them, or are you kind of having to be sold on them when you pick up that book?
No, I'll be into it. Like I think like they didn't play. I wasn't like, ooh, I can't wait to see what happens there. But like I expect it will be good too.
I am going through a contemporary romance phase. I'm actually going to pick up hopefully another contemporary romance this month that I'm really, really excited about. So maybe that's better than fantasy romance for me. We shall see.
Yeah, I feel like I have better success with contemporary romance than I do with fantasy romance.
I think that I have better success, but also then the couple has to be done really well because I find them boring too. Like there has to be, since there's not really more of a plot than realistic plot, I have to really ship them. So I DNF a lot more of those.
Yeah.
Dark
romance.
Nope.
I can't. I've like dipped my toe into that scene, and I think it was a pretty hard no for me. With the romance though, I generally read like the really popular ones. Like I'm not like out searching for the hidden gems there. I'm reading the crowd pleasers because I don't want to read that many contemporary romance, like out of my overall like percentage of what I'm picking up. So I'm trying to read ones that I'm like, this will probably work for me because he's been hugely successful.
Yeah. Have you heard of The Infinity Between Us? I don't remember who it's by.
The Infinity Between Us?
Mm-hmm. That's the one that I'm most excited at the moment for.
No, I haven't heard that.
Also, cast, I can't even do like dark TV. I need like A, because I'm a wimp, and B, because I need characters that I don't hate or that like are doing good things. Although the weird thing about Greenbone Saga is that they have like an honor code, so even when they're doing bad things, it's like for honor and justice, right? So that's why it works. I need it to be in that like way, or it doesn't work for me. Vigilantes work a bit more for me as well.
Yeah.
But also I'm just squeamish, so if there's blood, I'm like, I can't.
I feel like the dark romance is just like I can't get out of my head where it's like this is problematic. Like we're like, ooh, no, this is toxic. This shouldn't be. But I don't think the ones that I picked up were super dark though. Yeah. But like, yeah. Anyway, I should go. Sorry.
Can fight back. Okay, well that is good to know. If I tried anything, that may be the only one I ever tried, just for curiosity's sake.
Well, thank you guys for having me. This was really fun.
It was really fun, and thank you for you and Taylor for bearing with the technical difficulties.
No worries. I just like couldn't do anything because I'm on my phone. So I was like, well, this is.
My problem was I was like, how do I fix this without cutting off the entire show? So at least like it worked. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't sure that was gonna happen, so I was lucky that it did. Yeah. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
Have a good night. Bye.
Night. Bye.
Had a long dark romance phase in the past, but don't have any interest at the moment. Okay. So it was something that you kind of were in the mood for at the time. I don't know if I would ever I'm not a big, like, I kind of feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong for you and Cass who have read these, is dark romance something you have to really like enjoy smut for? Because I think that's where it would lose me. I'm not really a smut reader, even with contemporary. And I feel like that's where a lot of dark romance focuses. And also I think I'll probably pop off of these sprints in just a little bit as well, so we can wrap things up. Because I should go make my roast. Let's see. I skimmed the smut scenes, to be honest. Okay. My eyes glaze over with those usually, but I feel like there's a lot more of them in adult fantasy, or in an adult romance, and probably dark. Not remotely skip sex scenes. Okay, fair. Then maybe it wouldn't be. That's where I was assuming like it would lose me. I think contemporary is a little bit more like Fade to Black, at least in my very limited experience. But yeah, I will probably cut it off here because I should go make my roast. But thank you all so much for hanging out with me. It really meant the world. And like I said, thank you for being so understanding during my Wi-Fi glitch issues, because that was really stressful. So appreciate you all hanging in there with me. And I honestly really, really was worried that no one would watch these in the first place. So I feel really just like touched that you all showed up and supported and chatted with us and read with us, and it means a lot. So thank you. Thank you. And hopefully we'll do more of these, and yeah, good times. And I hope that you all also have like a great June reading month and have a great last day of May wrapping it up. And I know a lot of us are doing readathons, so Team Beach readers, we're gonna rock for whatever athon. But yeah, hope everyone has a great June reading month. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video or sprint or whatever it is. Bye.